Can you all hear that? We're just going to jump right into it. What's going on, everyone? This is Tony here from Always Causing a Racket. I am here talking about Restring Sync. So just to give a quick background, I'm just going to read off of here real quick. It says, Sync, the Restring Sync, fully in sync with your game, designed to deliver excellent control, outstanding feel, and longer lasting playability. For players looking to maximize connections with their shots, Sync provides optimal pocketing, allowing you to dictate with pinpoint control and precision, built to last and packaged responsibly in a paper sleeve. So this is a rounded string, and they only make it in 17 and, surprising, this is their first 18 gauge string. So Restring 0 is their blue string. That was kind of like their first one, and that came in 16, 17 gauge. They seem to play a little bit thicker, so I personally would call like the 16 gauge a 15L, and like the 17 gauge was like a 16L in my personal opinion. But Restring Sync this time is 17 gauge and 18 gauge. So this is 1.25 and 1.20. But I got to play test the 17 gauge in my Wilson Ultra Tour 95. That one's a 16 by 20 string pattern. And I mean, you've probably seen the reviews already online. A lot of people have been commenting and saying that this is, it is like a Luxilon ALU power destroyer. It's supposed to take over, it's supposed to be a great alternative. And I mean, I agree. I think, everyone might have jumped the gun on that one. But I think that was probably their goal, is to have, a round string that offers great control, pocketing. That definitely just kind of sounds like ALU power. I don't think it's as crisp, you definitely don't hear it. But what I really enjoyed was, I really enjoyed the pocketing on this, on the strings and the control. I think compared to something like, mostly I've been playing with tour line strings, anything shaped. So, I have like Wasabi, Caviar, Restring 0, and all that. So those are all the round strings. I definitely feel like the grip and topspin on the ball. Whenever I play with round strings, it could be just like a placebo effect. But I sometimes notice that, I don't get a lot of like that grip and topspin. But for this one, I had a lot of pocketing on the ball, and I really felt like I had a lot of control for a 17 gauge string. I think I tensioned this at like 53 pounds. And I thoroughly enjoyed my playtest the entire time. I think tension-wise, it held up until pretty much the very last point. Strings didn't really move until like about the last hour or two before, when I noticed there's big notches on it. So it was really great. So we're just kind of gonna go over the ground strokes, volley serves, and all that stuff.
I think right off the back, I really enjoyed ground strokes on this. I think my forehand, I could really feel just like the ball just stay on the strings a little bit longer. With my backhand, I felt like I was getting a lot of great pop and control. I think I was really surprised with how controlled the strings were, or how much control I got from the strings. Usually for something like a rounded string, I kind of feel like it just, bounces right off of the string bed, but I just could feel, especially with my volleys and serves, I could just feel the ball stay on the strings for a little bit longer, and then just, feel that crisp playing control. And I thoroughly enjoyed it with my ground strokes. I think my forehand, I really enjoyed. You can see here, I was really hitting through my shots, kind of swinging as hard as I can, and still maintain that control. Really liked it. I think you've also seen some of my volleys here and there before. You know that I sometimes struggle up at net. My volleys aren't that clean. That's kind of one of my weakest points. But I was actually really surprised with how a lot of my volleys, they were going in the court. They weren't sailing as long. I think that was also just kind of like, technique and stuff that I've been working on. But I could really just punch the ball, and again, just it's staying on the string bed. I could just redirect it really well. So really enjoyed hitting volleys with there. I think playing doubles with this string would be something I would really enjoy. Okay, jumping into my favorite part about this review was my serves. I really liked hitting first and second serves with this. I think, apart from just working on my technique, I was getting a lot of first serves in. And I played a USTA match with these strings, and the guy I was playing with just the first thing he pointed out after our match, and it was I was just having a high percentage first serves, and any second serves I hit just had a ton of kick on the ball. And yeah, I really think that's due to just that pocketing on the ball. Just staying on that string bed a little bit longer makes it sail a little bit faster. I think we were also playing indoors and all that stuff, so the ball was coming a little bit faster, but really enjoyed hitting serves with these. Just that high percentage first serves. I wasn't smacking aces or anything. That's not, my top priority. It's just more like higher percentage shots, working on that second serve and not double faulting as much. Overall, I really enjoyed this string. I think this is a rounded string that I will probably keep in stock for a while. I am kind of surprised that they didn't make a 16 gauge and they went with an 18 gauge. I did ask them why, and they said that the Restring 0 16 gauge wasn't selling as well as they thought. The 17 gauge was their most popular string, and as you guys know from something like Tourline, they love their 17 gauges. I think that fits for a lot of players. They have some 16L, but they mostly offer 17 gauge, 17L, stuff like that. So I think that's something that the Restring brand is sort of working towards as well. I do think it's great that they have a 16 gauge like Restring 0, especially for like the higher players, that break strings as often, or that break them super often. I think, to get more players, especially beginners, intermediates and stuff, they don't need those super thick gauges of strings. 17 gauge and 18 gauge strings are such a great, idea. I think people are surprised by how much I advertise using 17 gauge and 18 gauge strings. If I see that they have a string that they haven't broken and they just said, oh, it's super loose, I haven't gotten restrung in a while, I will ask them how often they break strings. That is the first question I ask, so that I can recommend, hey, just trying out a thinner gauge string like 17 gauge or 18 gauge. So having sync be an 18 gauge string, excellent idea for them. I think that will help get new players, especially like beginners and intermediates, into poly strings. I am surprised that they offer this an 18 gauge string for something that's has a lot more control and feel and whatnot. Usually if I recommend an 18 gauge string for players who are just getting into poly or beginners, I usually recommend something a little bit on the softer side, something that's not as firm, that won't be super stiff on the arm. So this will be an interesting choice. I will be testing to see how many players I can get on the 18 gauge string, but I think for the most part I will keep this. I think I will have a lot of people interested in the 17 gauge. So yeah, this is my quick review. Again, I don't review strings too often just because I don't have that great feel, and that I'm not like a top level player that understands their the soft and spin on their rackets and comfortable and all that stuff. I will just tell you if I like it or don't. This string I like, so I'm gonna keep it in stock. I'm gonna try to recommend it for players that string rackets for. So if you guys like it, feel free to use a discount code in the link on my channel. I'm happy to string these as well for you guys in the DMV area. But yeah, so for the rest of this, I'm just playing some practice points with my friend John. I mostly put in points that I've won, but surprisingly I lost pretty bad in this too. I was I think playing indoors and trying to test new strings out and stuff, I think I get in my own head. So I actually lost this one 3-6, but I had some decent points. I tried to fight, but yeah, so I need to get a full match in with John. It's just we've been so busy and we've been so tired because we go to the gym in the morning and we have work and stuff, and we usually play right after work. So sometimes we're just super tired and sore, but yada yada yada. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know what other types of strings you want me to test out, or if you guys want to try any strings like Tourline, Restring, and all that stuff, hit me up. I'm here in the DMV area, happy to play some matches, string some rackets. Anyways, take care. Bye.